All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tackle a huge challenge in the world of data. How do you share your reports without, oversharing your data? We're going to dive into a feature in Power BI that is, and I'm not exaggerating, an absolute game changer for your security and your sanity.
So just imagine this for a second. You spent all this time building the perfect sales dashboard. It looks amazing, the insights are brilliant, but now you've got to send it out to the entire sales team. So the big question is, how do you make sure Michael only sees his sales and Sarah only sees hers without having to create dozens of different reports? It's a classic problem, and frankly, it can be a real headache.
And that really gets to the heart of the issue, what we call the data sharing dilemma. You want one single place for the truth, one report to rule them all, but you have to show all these different personalized and secure views to a whole bunch of different people.
Okay, let's break down the options here. On the left, you've got the old way, which is just a total maintenance nightmare. I mean, can you imagine building, updating, and trying to manage a separate report for every single person on the team? It's slow, it's a ton of work, and you're just asking for mistakes. But then, look at the right side. That's the smart way. One single report that's smart enough to know who's looking at it and filters itself automatically. Now that's what we're talking about. So how in the world do we pull off this kind of magic? Well, it's not actually magic. It's a feature called row-level security, or RLS for short. Think of it as your personal security gatekeeper for your data. So what exactly is RLS? Well, to put it simply, it's a rule you set up in your data model that filters everything right down to the individual rows. The analogy here is just perfect. It's like giving everyone on your team a special pair of smart glasses. They're all looking at the exact same giant pool of data, but those glasses only let them see the specific rows that have their name on them. And how does this all work behind the scenes? It's actually a really simple and elegant process. First, a user logs in. Immediately, Power BI checks who they are and what security role they belong to. Then, based on that role, it applies the filter. And here's the kicker. It does all of this before a single chart or number even loads on their screen, so they only ever see the data they're supposed to. But wait, how does Power BI know who is who? What's the actual mechanism that makes this whole thing work? It's time to pull back the curtain and look at the secret sauce.
Believe it or not, it all comes down to this one powerful line of code. This is a DAX expression, and DAX is just the formula language for Power BI. It looks pretty simple, right? But this little line is the engine that drives this entire security setup.
So what this code does is really the key. That USERPRINCIPALNAME function, it basically just grabs the email address of the person who's logged in and looking at the report. Think of it as their digital ID card. The code then takes that ID and compares it to a column in your data. If it finds a match, boom, that person can see that row. If there's no match, that row stays completely hidden. It's really that straightforward.
Okay, theory is great and all, but let's see how this actually works in practice. We're going to step into the shoes of a salesperson, we'll call him Michael Blythe, and see the report exactly the way he would. All right, so here's the before picture. This is the full, unfiltered sales report. As you can see, we've got data for everybody in here. Michael Blythe, other salespeople, everyone can see everything. This is the wide open view before our security gatekeeper gets involved.
Now, back in Power BI, setting this up is super quick. First, we'll create a new security role. We'll just call it Salespeople. Then we apply that little DAX formula we just talked about to that role. And finally, Power BI has this amazing feature that lets us test the report by pretending to be a specific user, which is exactly what we're going to do. Okay, so let's do it. We're telling Power BI, hey, show me this report exactly as if I were Michael Blythe logging in with this specific email address. We've now activated that Salespeople role for our test. And there it is, the aha moment. This is the power of RLS in action. It is the exact same report, the same data set, but Michael's view is completely different. The table now only shows the rows where he is the salesperson. All the other data from the other reps, it's like it doesn't even exist for him. It's secure, it's automatic, and it just works. Fantastic. So this is way more than just a neat technical trick. This capability translates into some really powerful real-world business value. Honestly, when you implement RLS, it's like giving your organization business superpowers. First, and this is the big one, you get massively enhanced data security. Sensitive information is locked down. Second, you streamline your reporting like you wouldn't believe. No more juggling hundreds of files, you manage one. That leads right into the third point. You get a single source of truth, so everyone is on the same page. And finally, you get truly empowered teams, giving them just the data they need and only the data they need to make smarter decisions. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this one thought. Your data tells a critical story about your business. Row-level security gives you the controls to decide with precision who gets to read each chapter of that story. So the real question is, who gets to read yours?
In this section of Power BI, we'll go through secure data access in Power BI, and that consists of implement dynamic row level security in Power BI and create and test a role using user principal name. So I'll share this GitHub link into a description section. If you have anything, you can put into comment section, and please go through overview section before going through hands-on lab. And make sure that you have downloaded the required files before proceeding. So here I have already downloaded the files. Let me open the downloaded file for this lab. Go to downloads and select that open Power BI file. So when file is open, let me close this one. So switch to table view. So we are going to do enforce row level security. So in the data pane, select the salesperson performance table. Click that one. So data is populating, and check data for Michael Blythe and see the UPN value. Now go back to home ribbon. Now go to home ribbon, and from that security group select that manage roles, and in the manage security role window, in the role section, click new, click that one, and then you can see that there is a name. So let the role name salespeople. Press enter. So we have created a row. Now we are going to select a table, so which is select performance, and going to switch to DAX editor for analytics 1. So select that option, and you see that there is a rule window. So let's type a command. See here we are going to use user principal name, which is a data analysis expression function, or DAE that we are saying. So that function that returns the name of the authenticated users, and here we are selecting from that salesperson performance table, so that will be filtered by UPN, which is a user principal name that we are quoting here. So then click on save, and then click close. Now to test the security role that we created, go back to home ribbon, and here you see that view as, select that option, and view as role window. Here you can see that other people or other user, select that other users and give the UPN for Michael, and then click the salespeople that we created and click on OK. So configuration results is using the salespeople. You can see that the now viewing as salespeople, that one UPN number that we created. And to stop that viewing, you can do that stop viewing options. So if you select that stop viewing, so that will stop that banner. Now, if you'd like to delete that the role that we created, you need to go back to manage roles and use the sales people ellipsis option, and you can duplicate, you can rename, or you can also delete. So here we are going to delete, click the delete options and then click save button. So it deleted, successfully applied the role changes, so that's no longer there. So you can securely do a data access in Power BI by using a role like this. And that's all for this lab. If you have any questions, add that into comment section.